Okay, so I want to welcome to the show Rick Hughes from Sword. Rick, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you, Victor?
I'm doing excellent. Glad to have you here. And
Glad to be here.
awesome. So I wanted to start things off with the $1 million question. 34 years later, why did 2022 make sense for a new album by Sword?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to get to the point fast. It all started, uh, well, I'd say in 2000. Let's rewind a bit. First and foremost, we're all high school friends.
Okay.
The drummer is my brother,
Okay.
so my brother and I have done everything together. All my project, he's the drummer that I've worked with. So when we kind of took a break from the scene, I kept on doing my stuff. It was more rock and roll with my brother, my sister. We had a band together, and we just pay the bills.
Hmm.
And then the internet came about. The internet came about, and it gave us an access to the fans, and the
Right.
fans, it gave them an access to us. So the feedback was so big that we kind of started to talk about it
Hmm.
around 2000, 2005. We were playing stuff together, the guys for the band, and then we had an offer to go play a show in Quebec City
Okay.
Festival d'été, big festival. So we went there. We had fun. The enthusiasm of the fans was such a presence in the room that it kind of fueled everything. After that, everything fell into places. We said, okay, so this show was amazing. The song aged beautifully. People want to hear them live. So let's see if we get some more offers. So we got an offer to go play the Keep It True Festival in Germany.
Okay.
We did that in 2011. We came back. We did Heavy Montreal twice.
Hmm.
Uh, Again, the enthusiasm of the fans built the flame to say, okay, next step, we need new songs.
Hmm.
So that's how it came about.
Okay. And obviously the world dealt with this pandemic. Did that play anything into you guys getting together more recently, maybe working on these songs more, or did that not even factor into the entire process of three?
Quite the contrary. The album
Okay.
was ready in
Ah,
2019,
wow.
and we
Okay.
were we were making plans to release it in 2019,
Hmm.
and it was decided to be released around the summer of 2020. So everything was ready. We were the and when the shit hit the fan, we called a meeting
Hmm.
and we said, stop the press. We're not doing anything. The
Right.
fans been waiting for 20 years for that. They'll wait a couple more,
Yeah.
because if we release it now, we cannot tour, we cannot do anything. It's
Right.
all about live performances
Yeah.
with that type of music that we just
Mhm.
released.
Yeah. Was there any trepidation on your behalf or the band's behalf to think, in order to record this album, it needs to be fun. We all need to, do a certain thing. Or were you guys confident going in? You know what? We're just going to hit this one out of the park.
We went with our instinct. We went with our personal taste. We worked on some songs, and it took a direction, and then we paused, and then we listened to it again and we said, okay, it needs to be heavier, it needs this, it needs that.
Mhm.
So we kind of worked on each song as a canvas, and
Right.
make it as more unique for each one. And we took our time, and we there was no pressure from anything else but from ourselves.
Okay.
I pressured myself to come up with the best lyrics, the best melodies, the best hook, because that's what the fans deserve. They
Hmm.
deserve the best, nothing less.
Right. Um, did it feel any different going into this album? When you got to the studio, I mean, obviously you've recorded and done a lot of work on your own over the years, but did this feel different for you as compared to other albums with Sword?
Well, the only difference was that I was more um, my craft took me to when I was 20 years old. I was singing with my gut, you know,
Hmm.
and when I listen to it today, I think that I did a pretty good job, you know. But
Right.
and now with this album, I'm still singing with my gut, but now there's the head that comes into play that goes, okay, wait, this is not the best way to do it.
Hmm.
This is the best way to do it. Where before there was one way, and it was put your helmet on and go for it. You know,
Right.
this was more precise
Okay.
for a lead singer. I did it precisely, and every melody I wanted to take it. I wanted to exploit it the best I could.
Okay. So you're saying your experience came into play in knowing how to sort of flesh the music out better and flesh what you were doing out better.
You got me exactly. Listen, the way it worked out is that we had some ideas, and the ideas were amazing. So I got the melodies going with the music, because I always try to do a melody that's not going to be interfering with the music. It's going to be it's going to hold by itself, and the music will hold by itself.
Right.
Now, when Mike Plant, main songwriter of the band, brilliant guitar player, he when he started to put the music together, I knew that my time at bat was coming.
Hmm.
And the more I would listen to what they were doing, I was going, man, I gotta take my game higher.
Right.
I told Mike, I said, listen, Mike, you're gonna give me you guys gonna have to give me time in studio, because what you've did is so edgy,
Hmm.
it's so up there, that for me to go and meet you there, and even, you know, at time top you, because I'm the lead singer, it's gonna take me a couple that go at the bat, you know. So it's
Right.
exactly that's exactly what happened. I had to go a couple of times to redo my vocals, because to me the music was like 10 out of 10.
Right. Okay. And how far back do these songs go? Were they written around the time when you guys recorded the album, or were there pieces that go back even further than that?
Yeah, well, when we took a break from the scene, we had did a lot of demos for the record companies, and the record companies, they would go, okay, this, oh, not that, not that, no, not that, not that, oh, not that, not that. Well, it turned out that the not that was really, really good.
Hmm.
So when we kind of went through that,
Right.
and picked the best, some guitar riff, some ideas, some titles, some lyrics, some melodies, and we started with that. But we
Okay.
turned it upside down. So yeah, there's it's a we got lucky, because it to me it's a perfect mixture of old and new
Right.
put together. So you got the vintage foundation,
Hmm.
but the song itself sounds present.
Right. Sure. It's a mix of what you guys are known for with an updated modern production sound. Not to say that you guys are putting out modern radio rock. You guys are doing what you guys always did. It's just using today's tools to bring it forward.
Yes, because when you think about it, back in the 80s, the metal band that sounded really, really, really big, they had to hire the biggest producers.
Right.
They knew how to twitch stuff and make it sound just think
Mhm.
about Black Sabbath, but these days with the technology, it's totally different.
Mhm.
If you have a good producer like we had, Glenn Robinson, he's got the technology. Some people have heard the album and they say it sounds better than before, and we go, of course it does. Everything has changed.
Right.
All the technology, the microphones, what picks up the drum, the bass, everything has changed. So it makes for a different sound, and uh, and sometimes it makes for a better sound.
Right.
Sometimes not. Sometimes the old sound is much better.
Mhm.
But in this case, I think we sound better.
Right. That's interesting because back in the 80s, you didn't have bands that were trying to sound like the 70s or 60s. They weren't looking for producers or cabinets or guitars that were 10, 20 years old. People were trying to use modern technology at that time to get the best that they could out of their sound for the albums. It's funny that bands nowadays, you'll hear all these stories. Oh, well, I went back and I found this 60s Marshall cabinet, and I got this guitar from the 70s, and and this is what got this sound. And a lot of times I think to myself, what's getting the sound are your fingers, are your vocal cords. At the end of the day, if that feel isn't there, if the individual player isn't putting their blood, sweat, and tears in there, it's almost not authentic, it seems.
True, true. That's why they call it classic rock.
Right.
That's when you know that we've done full cycle.
Hmm.
We're returning to what was made it so good.
Hmm.
Back in the 80s, you had Priest, Sabbath, Metallica, Judas. I mean, name it. They were all there.
Right.
So after that, well, grunge came into play, which kind of threw aside a lot of bands, and now it's going full circle,
Hmm.
and now we're back to wanting to hear some sounds from the past, because that's why they call it classic rock.
Right.
Classic music. You'll always have people playing the Chopin, the Mozart, and the Beethoven. Even though people still write
Right.
some classic music,
Hmm.
this is the true stuff. Well, again, for rock, classic rock will always be, to me, the best genre, and that includes Led Zeppelin, Sabbath, Metallica. It's all genre. It's hard rock. It's blues rock. It's heavy rock, and it's heavy metal.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything that you specifically wanted to do on this album that maybe you hadn't done in the past? You mentioned that you raised your game to try to get it to the same level as your other bandmates, but was there something going in where you wanted to try something specific and maybe you hadn't done either in solo work or with the band in the past?
That's a very good question, and I've got a very easy answer to that. Yes, I wanted to be. I really wanted to be the best I could be on this album. I gave it all. There's some songs that I sang on the album, such as Unleashing Hell.
Hmm.
Listen, I sang everything in my life. I've been singing since I'm 15 years old. I've nailed it in studio. And when
Hmm.
it's time to rehearse, this song is really, really hard to sing. And that tells me that I gave it all.
Right.
Sometimes people go, be careful because it's going to be hard when you'll be touring. I don't care. I don't care. What I want is people to experience the best they can. So
Right.
when they hear the album, they'll hear the song. Maybe it'll be hard to reproduce it live, but
Mhm.
I'll handle it when it's there.
Okay. When it came time to recording the album, did you guys all record together? Was this done from home and you guys were sending files to one another? How exactly did the album come together?
Mike Plant, guitar player, took care of everything. So we hired Glenn Robinson, award-winning producer. So we went to a studio. Mike Plant was there for all the phases of recording. So he was there for the drum, the bass, and he told them, "Okay, yeah, okay, no, don't play that, because my guitars will be." So Mike's the producer of the album,
Okay.
and the same goes with the vocal. When it's time to do the vocals, then Mike tell me, "Okay, for the next 2 weeks, it's you, Rick. Prepare yourself. We're gonna record your vocals." So we all did that like that, like in the old days in a studio, and starting with the rhythm section, putting some basic guitars to add
Mhm.
some basic vocals, add more guitars, and then fix the vocals. Because every time Mike would go and do more guitars, it would go, "Oh my God, I gotta redo the lyrics." Why? Because you're so good, man. I sound this big. No, 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 no. Let me redo it, please. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go for it, Rick. He was a good prince.
Now, do you think in hindsight, was he doing that on purpose to get you to raise your game?
Well, one thing's for sure is that Mike is the best leader you can think about. He's the leader of the band, and he's the best. I mean, I wouldn't want a better lead guitar than this guy. I mean, he brings the idea to the table, and then everybody's idea is good, and he's not no, no, it's me, it's my ideas. No, 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 everybody
Mhm.
brings their stuff to the table. And so yeah, he probably did it for that, because I remember the first sessions that I went, I was prepared, but not enough. Because when I finished, I said, "Okay, I'll try tomorrow." And he said to me, he said, "Rick, just remember what, do the best vocal you can ever think about.
Mhm.
Just do that." I said, "Okay, I hear you." So, this being said, when somebody tells you that, you have to rethink your melodies, because if your melodies is always doing the same thing, then
Mhm.
you're not doing the best you can on that song.
Right.
But if your melody goes like this, and then the second verse comes in and it goes like this, and then the third verse comes in and you're there, and then
Uh-huh.
the chorus comes, then you worked on your vocals. You thought about each line, not to repeat yourself too much and the way you sing it.
Gotcha. Okay. And you've toured with a bunch of legendary bands. You got to tour with Metallica during the Master of Puppets tour. A lot of times you ask bands, "Hey, can you share a story about this tour or that tour?" And a lot of times they can't. but
Ah,
but I wanted to ask you: is there anything that you remember about touring with them back then? Obviously, it was before they got super huge, but enough that you've mentioned them a few times during the interview. They've obviously become a focal point for a lot of people that came before them and came after them.
yeah. Well, the thing is that with Metallica, it was a total surprise for us, because we were back then. We were like, there was a big scene, a metal scene here in Quebec. That's the province, or in Montreal, and
Right.
Sword was up there,
Hmm.
and we released the album Metalized, and we get really, really good critics all over the world, and we know. And we're driving in the same car. We have one car for four guys back then, and we do everything together. We'd go to the rehearsal hall. We'd go see shows. We'd go see party. We'd be together all the time. And what we would listen to in the car was Ride the Lightning,
Hmm.
Master of Puppets, Killing is my business, and business is good. I mean, those albums we're playing all the time in the car. We were
Right.
rocking with that. So we get home. When we get to the rehearsal hall, which was home, my brother and I had rented a big house, and we had the rehearsal hall there. And the manager had called us and said, "Guys, I got a big news for you." "What is it?" "I just had a phone call from the management of Metallica. They love your album and they want you to join them on the tour." So it's them that ask us to join them.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, Metallica. We
Right.
were fans. So we went, wow. So it came to pass. We toured with them. We got to meet them. We talked about music with James. I talked with music about James while we were backstage. You know, we rubbed shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and it stuck with me all my life. This is a highlight of my life. After that, we got to tour with Alice Cooper.
Okay.
Now, Alice Cooper here in North America in the 70s, he
Mm-hmm.
was the biggest thing.
Right.
Everybody loved Alice Cooper. It was playing on every radio, rock radio,
Mm-hmm.
pop radio. You know, only women bleed. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Name it. I'm 18. All this. It's
Mm-hmm.
so we were. My brother and I were big, big, big fans. So when we were like 10 years old, 11 years old, we had bought our first Alice Cooper album. So we were big fans. So imagine that two brothers with the two Mike sword, you know, being
Mm-hmm.
on tour with Alice Cooper. It was the, what's funny about it is that the tour was The Nightmare Returns, but
Right.
for us it wasn't a nightmare. It was a dream come true.
Right.
So we
Excellent.
got to meet Alice Cooper one night during the tour because he was very protected.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the wagon. He's been on the wagon for a while, and they made sure that he stayed on the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to meet him, and they said no. He's very very private because he's got to keep his mind clean, you know,
Right.
because not because you decide to be on the wagon that everybody has to be. So
Right.
they they know that a lot of musicians drink and do drugs, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
they had they had a distance with the other band. So we insisted. So one night they said, okay, tonight after Alice's show, he's agreed to meet you in a tour bus. Here's the condition: if anybody of you is drunk, you won't be allowed to go in the bus. If you cannot bring drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, nothing. You go inside the bus, he'll talk to you, and when it's over, you get out. But man, we were like kids, 15 years old kids after their show. We're all lined up, you know, on the side of the bus, you know, and
Right.
the guy comes and he almost frisks us. All right, nobody's got drugs, you don't have beer, nobody's drunk. No, no, no. We want to meet Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, come in. He opens the door. We felt like Laurel and Hardy, man, a bunch of kids. So we were in the bus and we're waiting for Alice to come out of the back of the bus, you know, where
Mm-hmm.
there's like the room.
Right.
The door open and it's Alice Cooper and he's got his makeup out and off and he comes to us and we had our moment with him and that too sticked with me for the rest of my life. But the
Mm-hmm.
icing on the cake was touring with Motorhead in the
Okay.
UK
Uh-huh.
in '89. We did a month and a half, and we
Mm-hmm.
did 30 shows in a month and a half. So
Wow.
there was almost every night there was a show.
Right.
Sometimes that 2 days break, three the most. So we not only rubbed shoulders with Motorhead, which Animal was on the drum,
Mm-hmm.
Wurzel on the guitar, Phil Campbell and Lemmy. So
Mm-hmm.
this is like this is a big formation right there. Lemmy took us under his wing, so he was looking after us. We became friends. He took us out when we had nights out. He said, "Okay, tonight, boys, I'm going to take you out at a bar in Edinburgh, and you'll see." When Lemmy would come in, man, the seas would part,
Right.
the doors would open automatically. It was Lemmy is here. Oh man, that he was such a great person.
That's awesome. Um, we talked about off air about a friend of mine, Roch. I said Vaillancourt, but you corrected me and pronounced his name in French. He used to host the show Radioactive Metal. He told me that I should ask you about a story where you guys took a motorcycle to the second floor. I think he told me of a hotel.
And Sherbrooke.
Yeah,
You asked me about the town. You said Sherbrooke. Yeah,
yeah,
we did that. Yeah, a Harley Davidson. They're quite heavy. So they bunch of rocker friends. They took the bike and they second story, no elevator. They took it up, and it was a big, big, big party that night.
right.
So for the song FTW, I would ride with the bike on stage.
Uh huh. So cool.
It's a true story.
How'd the bike get down?
Same way with some rocker friends.
Oh, very cool. What are the band's immediate plans now after the album is released? The album gets released on the 18th of this month. After that, what do you guys have in store?
Uh, what the best case scenario would be that the album takes us to the edge of the world.
Okay.
Best case scenario.
Hmm.
So we'll be touring in Spain next year. We'll be
Okay.
touring in the States in 2 years from now. That's the best case scenario. Worst
Okay.
case scenario, the album falls flat. We
Okay.
call it a day. We
Okay.
call it a day. As a matter of speech,
Right. Right.
I mean, logically, if you release an album and nobody likes it, then it says, okay, I'm off. I'll
Okay.
be doing something else. But you know what? I'm very, very confident about this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the fans will be pleased with this, and people that have been fans that may only know the name or maybe remember the classic album covers. When they hear this, I think they will be pleasantly pleased. As we mentioned before, it's a great mix of the old with the new, and I think that a lot of people will enjoy it. So hopefully, there isn't the latter will not take place. There
Yeah,
will be calling the day.
yeah.
You mentioned Heavy Montreal before, and even before the pandemic, it seemed as if we may have seen the last iteration of the festival. Do you think we'll ever see Heavy Montreal or something similar come back?
Oh, yeah. Hard rock and heavy metal is very, very big here in Quebec.
Right.
So the last versions of Heavy Montreal that I went through, it was sold out. It was big, big, big. People
Mhm.
here in Montreal, if let's say Iron Maiden comes and announce a show, it'll be sold out in a couple of days.
Right.
People love it. People love music that has a that has muscle, that has a meaning that makes you want to move, not.
Mhm.
So that's what metal gives you. It gives you a good sensation when you go to a metal concert. It's all about the energy that it gives you
Right.
just by the music, because some heavy metal band hardly move,
Mhm.
but still you get the energy
Right.
as much as a band like Iron Maiden. When you go see them, there's all that moving around, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. What do you think separates Quebec and Montreal from the rest of the country when it comes to just grasping metal that way? Because obviously you've played all over Canada. Um, why do you think it's special? I mean, obviously it's your home territory, but outside of that, what makes Quebecers different from people in the rest of Canada when it comes to this form of music?
Well, I don't see any difference other than maybe the language, for
Okay.
for for the fact that we speak French. Maybe maybe that gives us a little uniqueness that others don't have. Maybe, I don't know, but
Okay.
I don't see myself any different as any other heavy metal band from Canada. I'm mainly a Canadian that lives in Quebec,
Right.
um, but no, I don't see a big difference.
Okay. Where do you want people to go to pick up the album when it comes out or to pre-order it now? And it ensures to make the most amount of money go back into you and the rest of the band's pocket.
The best way is to pre-order it. Right
Okay.
now, you can pre-order it by going to a Massacre Records website
Okay.
and you pre-order it, or you wait on the 25th of November when the album is officially released,
Okay.
and order it from there. If you buy it digitally,
Mhm.
physically, or that's up to the fans. I
Okay.
don't, I don't, I mean, everybody's got their reason to have it physically or not have it physically, and I
Right.
respect that.
Okay. And where should people go to keep up with the band?
The best way is through Facebook. We have a Facebook page,
Okay.
Sword. They'll recognize the logo, and
Mhm.
that's the best way to keep up to date with the news. Hey guys, this is Rick Hughes from Sword, and you're listening to Signals from Mars with my good friend Victor. Rock on!
Thank you for watching the Signals from Mars live stream. You can watch the show live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, or check out replays on YouTube. Go to signalsfrommars.com for more information. This concludes our show.